You are listening to Overwatch League Network, the podcast with Deadeye on all the latest Overwatch League news and information. The show with Tactical Visor on all of these statistics and analysis. Here are your hosts, Booger and Tanura.
It's good so far. I mean, we just saw each other a few days ago, so nothing much has changed. I'm just I've been uh basically doing training for this new job I'm going to, and that's all I've done all day. And so right now it's kind of nice to get a break and talk about Overwatch League again. So how about you? How's your weekend? Yeah, he's sounding deep, isn't he? All right. Let's see. Finals dates announced. So Overwatch League has revealed the dates of the Grand Finals weekend and All Stars for 2020 season. The Grand Finals will take place from October 8th to 10th, where the top two teams from North America and Asia will compete in a double elimination bracket for the championship. The league previously announced that North American teams will travel to Asia to compete on the same online server. So, I mean, it's looking like it's gonna be in October, which I'm completely fine with, and it's like a week after my birthday. So this is gonna be should be pretty fun for me. Let's see, October 8th it starts, and semifinals are Asian second seed versus NA first seed. Makes sense. And NA second seed versus Asia first seed. Losers round one is October 9th, and then winners finals, losers finals, and then the grand finals is on October 10th. So it looks like it should be 3 days of the top four teams just going off of like each other.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really cool.
That this is gonna be sick, and we got plenty of notice, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in tomorrow to get these days off of work, so I don't have to miss any of it. Like, is there any more time, more hype than the Overwatch League Grand Finals? Like for me, nah, it's like the pinnacle of sports. Most like pretty much. I don't really watch a whole lot of other sports outside of esports, so this is gonna be like a awesome weekend. And it is weird because these times are gonna pretty much be like morning time for me. Like
Oh yeah.
I
Hmm.
yeah, like the it'll be 9 in the morning, so that's gonna be like kind of awkward, but also kind of awesome because that gives us plenty of time to celebrate the Outlaws grand final victory starting from the bottom. Like that's gonna be sick, right?
So yeah, totally that's gonna happen. But I think the really cool part is if you get like a group of friends. If you, I don't know if anyone watches with friends like I do, but I watch with friends all the time. And so what we're thinking about doing is taking some sleeping pills and waking up at like 3 a.m. and then start drinking because we want to have a good finals. We want to make sure it's really nice, especially October 9th. It starts at 5 a.m. That's 4 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. Eastern time. So yeah, it's early. It's This is Asia times. I think another thing is I think it's fighting with one of the League of Legends broadcasts. So that's gonna be fun. Seeing if our viewership rises or falls because there's League of Legends on. But other than that, like this should be hype. I'm excited. I'm excited to see LAN again. This is all gonna be LAN in Asia. That's gonna be hype. It should be fun.
Yeah, I'm curious if where some of the places they haven't actually announced like for sure where it's going to be at, except it's in Asia, and I think a lot of us are speculating South Korea, but it's also an option. It could be in China. I guess it could be, I mean, Asia, there's a lot of countries in Asia, so there's a ton of places it could be, but I think the most likely places is South Korea or China, just because that's where teams are located. I guess it's possible it could be another Asian country, but I'm kind of curious, depending on where they have it at, if it's going to be safe enough there to have maybe limited number of fans, or if I don't know. I know a lot of the world is not in as much trouble
I
as
think,
U.S. right now, but I don't know. I wouldn't
yeah,
count on fans, but I wonder if it's going to be a possibility that they're going to go for with the grand finals, or if it's just going to be kind of like a land tournament, the teams and the coaches and production crew, and that's it. So I guess I don't really know. That's kind of a big question to be asking this far ahead of time, but we do have the final date. So for some of us that need to put in to be off work and watch the finals, we can do it. Um, I mean, we'll probably, when it gets closer, we'll announce it for sure, but we might try to do like a watch party for sure for the finals, just because it's going to be the finals, like actual finals, not just the little mini tournaments they've been having. This is what the whole season's about. So yeah, Nura, what do you think coming up about the finals? Do you think it's going to be in China or South Korea or somewhere else that I didn't think of?
so I mean, for me, I think that it'd be easier to do it in Korea, just because we have so many Korean players. But either one that can do it, I think they're just trying to find a spot. It'd be cool if they do the old Apex arenas. I don't know if Booker, you probably don't like, you haven't really watched Apex, but it's like the beginning of Overwatch. Is the Apex finals, and they're insanely fun to watch. But I don't know. Like, it's one of those things where you just don't know. I don't think there's going to be fans. I don't think they're going to take the risk with that.
Same.
Um, they're already trying to get everyone in a 14-day bubble. I think they're trying to go more NBA style with like fake fans, where they're going to put everyone in a bubble and make sure they can go and be there, and like no problems after that, no masks, nothing. So I think they're going that route. I think that's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too, but we're still, October, still a couple months away, so it's time for them to get things organized. We could even see like I don't know if it'd be possible, but they could maybe do some kind of raffle and give out like 10 tickets or something crazy. But then again, ain't nobody want to travel to wherever it's going to be at and wait
Yeah, they ain't
14
gonna do
days.
that.
Yeah, no, and besides, esports is better to watch. Well, I've never been, but I like watching it on the TV, on my couch, nice and comfy, sometimes in my underwear. So you can't really do that at a live venue, even though
That's fair.
the home
That's fair.
stands look super cool, but the biggest downside, you can't watch Overwatch League in your underwear. uh, but yeah, so we actually, where we recorded late last week, we don't have a whole lot of news to cover, but we do have some games from last week and some pretty surprising results we get to talk about. I know you mentioned you were pretty surprised with how Seoul was performing, and I think a lot of us were. Seoul played 3 games, and they went 3-0 on all of them, so they went 9-0, even though they played. Okay, so they played Seoul versus London on Friday, and then Saturday Seoul played New York, but then Sunday Seoul played London again. So they 3-0'd London twice, but they also 3-0'd New York. So Seoul's looking hot. It's kind of weird because they've been like real up and down teams so far this year, and now they've really got the opportunity to finish out positive. And this Seoul team, if is a lot of this Seoul team are people from that season 1 London team who, if y'all remember, wasn't super hot all year. I mean, they were a good team, but they really hit their rise at playoffs. So this is like Seoul? These 3 wins put them at 11-11. Do you think this is the start of something bigger, Anura, or you think that it's just Seoul on their ups and downs, like they've been going up and down all season?
This is the first time we've seen them. I mean, sure, it's 1 week, but this is the first time we've seen them pretty consistent. Because they've been on a losing streak before this week, and they brought in a new off tank player to you, and I've got to say, like, sure, they still look good on double shield, but their dive looked really good as well. And honestly, like Gesture and 2U look like they're really good together. And after a close loss against the Spark, it's kind of understandable why they kept their losing streak, even though they added 2U previously. And then now they're looking pretty strong. I mean, they beat NYXL 3-0. That's not a feat you can't deny that's not good.
Yeah.
Despite New York's ups and downs this year, it's a really good look for Seoul, and you've got to commemorate them for be like, hey, we have a hole here, we're gonna fill it up, and that's what they did. So overall, I'm excited. I think they're looking great. I think they could probably go far in the tournament. I still don't think they have what it takes to beat um, Shanghai or someone like maybe the Charge, but I mean they could be top three now. Especially the way tournament works, where there's only 7 teams.
Well,
They can at least pull through.
you remember, wasn't it Melee? It was one of the mini tournaments where the finals was Seoul versus Shanghai, and it went like the distance. So they definitely have the abilities there to compete, but they didn't pull out that win. So we'll just have, I don't know. It's just interesting to see Seoul kind of spiking at the end of the season, because like
Yeah,
if they come in just like hot into this tournament after like a pretty mediocre season, would that not be crazy? Like, that would just be absolutely insane. Actually, I want to look up. Oh yeah, so London, when the year they won, they actually were performing quite a bit better than Seoul is, but they definitely weren't like the by and far number one team. Like, it's still possible for us to have an underdog make a crazy run, and that's kind of what I got my eyes on right now in this next couple of weeks, is like what teams are really heating up, and Seoul is definitely one of them. And a team that's definitely not heating up is the London Spitfire. They're on a 16 map lose streak, which is one of the worst map losing streaks in Overwatch League history. Like, we got the like standings for like the record, the worst losing streak in Overwatch League history for map lose streak, not games. The worst map lose streak was 24 in 2018 from the Dragons. Then last year in 2019, the Charge had a 23 map loss streak. And then we have a three-way tie for third, and that's Florida, Shanghai Dragons, and London Spitfire, who are all have had 16 map in a row losses. But the thing is, London still has more to play, and if they don't win another map, they're going to be a 25 map lose streak, and that is absolutely insane, because there were times this year where we thought the Spitfire was looking just like a little bit better than we anticipated. If y'all remember preseason, there was not very many people were very high on London Spitfire, and right now they're 16th. So I don't think that's totally crazy to be down on. That they're 6-13 right now. So yeah, Spitfire is looking like they're having a rough season, and it could be a record-breaking rough season. So do you think there's any hope left for the Spitfire, or do you think this is like GG, go next? They had a budget year, saved some money. They're gonna be able to spend bigger next year, or I don't know. What do you think about London? You think there's any chance for them coming out with some bigger wins?
I mean, they have stronger pieces than I thought.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest, they do. But I think, like, especially like Sanguinar and Bernard and some of their DPS are actually really good as well. But overall, I think this season's kind of a wash for them. I mean, keep improving, because these players they're all rookies. But I mean, they had really strong parts of their season where they looked pretty good. And then after that, like, they've just kind of fallen apart, and no one really looked at it. Now they're like, whoa, they're on a losing streak, a really bad one. But I think overall, I don't know if they can come back. They're not coming back the regular season. They have, I think, 1 or 2 more games. And what is the games? I know one's Seoul. I think it might just be Seoul, and they're not winning that game. Let's see. What does that always bring me to the next week? But I mean, overall, like you can look at it. I think this is a pretty crazy story. This is by if you guys are on Twitter, I'd highly recommend you follow Overwatch League Statistical Insights. He's actually really fun to watch and to see like the statistics of map wins and maps played between teams and like how it's significant because it shows that 2018 London was the champions and Shanghai they set a record setting losing streak and now London might be setting a record setting losing streak and Shanghai might become the champions. It's kind of like a cool like 1-for-1 kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
that's
I mean,
crazy.
right now, it's actually kind of nuts. Yeah, London has New York Excelsior and Seoul left in the regular season, and then it's postseason, like 3 games, and that's it. And what comes worse is that there's not like there's not map fours this season. There's no map four, so like they're losing these games 0-3, 0-3, 0-3. And so it's really not looking good for them.
Yeah, we're saying London. They only have one more game, correct? Or did you just say
No, they have
two?
NYXL and Seoul are the last 2 games.
Okay, so if they're able to beat Seoul, who's looking hot, and New York XL, then London can finish tied with the Hunters, which the Hunters are not thought of that highly. So I think that we can pretty much assume that London's going to clinch that bottom spot in the Asian region. And if they don't clinch the bottom spot, then it's going to be up to map differential. I guess they can't, even if they 3-0 both their games, London doesn't beat Hunters. Like, London is the bottom seed of the Asian division. So,
yeah, it's like selling all your players and trying to rebuild is not always the best thing to do.
I don't know.
If they sell them, it's good. I think they would. I do think London would do a lot better in NA, like 100% better in NA. But right now, it just looks like nothing's really working.
Well,
They have major holes. So
100% better would only be 12 wins. So that's, I don't know. I don't know if they would be that much better in NA, but they definitely wouldn't have. They would definitely have a better record because there's more easy teams in NA right now. So I don't know. We'll have to keep our eyes on London and see. I'm definitely want to watch out for London during this off season specifically and see if they kind of try to make some changes, some pickups, or if they're pretty confident in this roster and just need some more time, maybe 1-2 more pieces. I don't know. I'm just pretty perplexed by London because I think that's kind of been the story of most people looking at London all years. It's just kind of like, what's going on? But we can go ahead and talk about some NA games. And last week we said we mentioned a couple games of the week, and one of those was the Shock versus Philly, which we thought was going to be a pretty close game, but Philly stomped them. Dude, the Shock got wrecked. It was crazy. Like, that was one game I got to check out, and I was able to watch that one live, and holy moly, like, where were they last week, dude? They literally just played last week for, like, 6 figures prize money, and Philly turned up short. And it was a game, but then this week they just straight doo-dooed on the Shock, and that like has
new meta.
You're right, it is a new meta, but still, how many people said the Shock is meta proof and stuff like that? Like, Shock really ain't even really been 3-0'd this season. Like,
that's no, crazy. But the other 2 games were definitely because of like their other 2 losses in the regular season was Valiant and Gladiators, and that was definitely because of the meta. And they didn't look that clean. And what the last one was Melee. They didn't look that clean because of the meta in that one. So they're not like meta proof. But I think in a week's period, Shock was probably just resting on their laurels while. Well, obviously Philly was grinding to beat this team, and because that's all they've ever wanted is to beat Shock. Like, we can't call ourselves the best unless we beat Shock. They've beaten Shock. I still don't think they're the best. We have to wait. And now I think Shock's got a fire under their belly after that upsetting 0-3 loss. So also like, yeah, I've never seen Shock give up so badly. They normally can bring back fights. There's two where they basically C9, they couldn't get on point, 2 maps, and that was huge, massive. So like this could have been a closer game, and I think Shock knows that. I think they're going to be disappointed. And I think Philly knows that, but they're just happy they won, you know. Also, like it's a 3-0, so like, even so, it could have gone either way after they didn't get on point. So first of all, like congrats Philly, like this is huge. It's just showing that they can beat a top team, but also now it's time to really be scared of Shock again because they're not going to lose their next games. They're going to go for gold now. Like they're not going to rest. This happened last year with the Atlanta loss, and I'm very scared of Shock now.
Yeah, but like, here's one of the things I noticed about Philly. Previously, it's been like Carpe has been a must play, and in these past two Shock matches, he's only played like a portion of the time. I mean, this was only 3-0. This was the 3-0, so he played 2 of the 3 maps, so that's more than half. But I would have never thought at the beginning of this year, if you said, "Oh, Philly Fusion, they might bench Carpe at some point," I would be like, "What? That's like what Philly is about." Like Philly literally could change the name from Fusion to Carpe and Friends. Like that's the team that they've built. Yeah, Alarm's an MVP candidate and probably one of the best flex support to play the game. Like they have other really good players, but that's just, you know, Philly Fusion. You kind of identify them with Carpe, and he's been getting more and more bench time, and it's kind of crazy. I know Hisu really is that good, and he's meshing with the team, and Ivy can play some heroes that we might be seeing this week because of the hero pool bans. We did see like Ivy playing Doomfist for a point, and that was kind of weird. But I mean, it was pretty sick. Not gonna lie. Like, I'm not the biggest Shock or Fusion fan, but to see literally just anybody dunk on the Shock, it's pretty interesting because that's not something you see but maybe once a season now. Like, it's pretty crazy. So
Oh yeah, no. Before 2018, you saw it all the time. But nowadays, it's not really that big. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't happen a lot. But yeah, to go off the Carpe thing is, yeah, Carpe's really good. He is. He's just also a monster. This guy's a freak. He's a freak of nature. You should be scared of him as well. And people don't give him enough credit just because Carpe's on the team. I honestly believe that if Carpe left, like say going back to the off season, if they somehow didn't get Carpe, they were going to be fine with Hisu. If that makes any sense. Like more than fine with Hisu. I think Hisu's that good of a player to where I don't think it'd be that much loss or gain. Of course, you keep Carpe if you can keep Carpe, but and if you want Carpe Hisu, then you want Carpe Hisu. Like that's an insane DPS duo. But I mean, they picked up Ivy and Hisu, and I mean EQO as well. EQO was a later signing for them, based off of rumors. We didn't think he was going to get signed back to him, but it looks like they really built this team with really strong DPS, a great core in the support line, and the tank lines were the biggest question. But after seeing the Sado Fury dive, that's insane. It's insanely good too. I'm really hoping that maybe playoffs we get dive and Shock and Philly can meet again, and we can see some Hisu, Sado versus Smurf and Choi. See who's the best like dive tank duo because it's actually insane.
And with no hero pools, that would be some Tracer dive most likely, which
a Striker versus.
I'm a fan of Tracer.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm telling you, like a lot of these hero pools really kind of nerfed Shock in a way to where they couldn't play. Honestly, they couldn't play Tracer. I think that was one of the biggest things. Is they couldn't just put Strike on that Tracer to carry. So
they didn't
yeah,
have
I mean like
Genji, he probably could have beat Philly.
True. That's actually a fact.
Oh man, but okay. Let's talk about another team this weekend that I think we should talk about, and I think you do too, and that's the Atlanta Reign, who after a really close game with the Paris Eternal coming up short in map 5, losing 2-3, we got to see Atlanta blow it against the Vancouver Titans. So yeah, like I actually on Saturday I was working, and like I got to take my lunch break, and it was like map 4 of Atlanta versus Paris, so I got to watch maps 4 and 5 live, and I was like, got home and I was like, oh man, they're like Atlanta looks like they got a chance, and you know, it actually came right down to the wire because in the map 5, the control, they ended up going to the third round, and I think it might have been 99-99. Like it was like crazy close. That last round might not have been that close, but they definitely went to third round of control for the map 5. And Atlanta versus like Paris, you think if a team is going toe to toe with Paris Eternal, who we perceive as really strong top 5 North American team, they should have no trouble dumpstering on Vancouver Titans, but that's not the case. The Titans pulled off a win against the Atlanta Reign, which they really haven't got too many wins, period, since the like whole restructure, and they lost their championship team last year. Not champions, but they made it to the championship. And then this weekend, Titans had 3 games. They lost 3-1 to Florida, which was actually pretty close because Florida's good. And then they lost 0-3 to the Dallas Fuel. Like, how are you going to lose to the Dallas Fuel and then turn around and then beat Atlanta the next day? I don't know, man. Vancouver, I don't know. I don't know about them.
Yeah,
They have
it's a
so
weird
much
situation.
potential, but they haven't brought it together. You'll be watching them play, and for like certain fights, it's like they could beat anybody, and then some whole maps, I'm like, oh man, they could lose the ball.
Wait, is this about Atlanta or Vancouver?
Vancouver, like some fights, they literally
Really?
look like they could really like stomp good teams for like a fight, and then they'll like a couple minutes later, you're like, why did I think they were good a few minutes ago? Like, it's so weird. It's like good and bad back and forth. There's no like middle ground when you watch the Titans.
Well, okay. I wanna talk about Atlanta first. I want to give my thoughts on Atlanta.
Let's go.
Atlanta really punches up and they fall down for certain teams. This was a perfect example. Was the Paris Atlanta game. They pulled out some cheese strats for 2 maps. I think maps 2 and 3 with the Bastion, and that was insane with Saucy and the Bastion. Really fun game. It was a fun game. I don't think Atlanta was too mad about that loss. And but for me, it made me really look at Paris and make me think like, where do I put Paris right now? Because sure, they've had a really good season, but if you look at their recent performances, they haven't looked that good. They had a really close game with Valiant, which is fair, but like it's just like not where I thought they were. I thought they were top 3 with the likes of Philly and Shock. For a while, I thought Paris was above Philly, but now it's looking like they're in the likes of like the Florida Mayhem Paris area. I don't know exactly what to call that area, but like it's just like they're not looking like the absolute top tier I thought they were. And maybe it's because Genji Meta's gone. But they still pulled out the win against Atlanta after some cheese comps and some really good play. So like congrats to them. But I mean Atlanta really needed that win. And I thought they didn't because it came and they were not ready for Vancouver. They weren't ready for I mean their DPS, Vancouver's Dalton and Shockwave really popped off.
Shockwave's insane.
Yeah, they popped off this game and just dismantled Atlanta. I want to really give some love to KSAA as well, or KSA. He looked really good, like honestly, like so good. And Atlanta just was not ready. I think they're ready to 3-0 stomp this team easily. And as soon as they gave it a challenge, they didn't know what to do, which is a problem. You need to be ready to adapt. And I don't know if I've seen Atlanta adapt at all this year. I feel like they always just like fall flat whenever they start losing. It's like when they 3-0 teams and then they don't win a game if they don't 3-0. That's been mostly this whole season.
Yeah, it's like when you're like a little kid doing karate. If you don't punch through the board and like finish, you're just gonna you're just gonna mess your hand up. That's kind of like Atlanta. They're either like punching straight through the board, or they're just bouncing off of it and leaving themselves injured. I don't know if that was, yeah, I think that makes
No, that
sense.
makes sense.
Like that's
Yeah,
very
they're like
Atlanta. Like if they're not like stomping when they should, then they kind of like yikes. But yeah, no, it's interesting because now next week Atlanta has some pretty tough games to close out. Like Atlanta has to play the Shock and the Gladiators. So one game is I'm not gonna say unwinnable, and then another game against the Gladiators is like it's not gonna be an easy game. Gladiators are like, I mean, Atlanta and Gladiators are pretty much close to the same level, and we see Atlanta play better against better teams. So what happens when they play a team that's got like they both okay, they almost have the same amount of wins. Atlanta 10-9, Glad's 9-9. Like that's pretty close to the same level.
we'll talk about their wins and losses in a little bit, because it's kind of insane. The battle for fifth place is insane. It's probably the best storyline this coming week. But yeah, I think overall, I think Atlanta just needs to look better. I don't know why
Get
they're
good.
supposed to be a super team.
Really does.
Yeah, just get good. Like I don't understand why you're so bad. A whole bunch of people say, "Where's Erster?" I don't know where he is. I don't understand it. Why isn't he being played more? He was the one map they won against Vancouver. He was in. Is he just like not in it right now? Is it like I don't understand?
know.
Like I want some answers. If you can't answer it, trade him. I don't care. I want to see Erster in the league.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
okay, so I remember
you know,
Erster's hero pool. Wasn't he playing like mostly projectiles and he's like really good at Hanzo and then has like some other heroes he plays like
he's good at Tracer. He's mostly projectile. Yeah,
yeah, he's good at
but he
Tracer.
flexes. He flexes hard.
And I think that he's played like he's the Atlanta's Junkrat pick in the past. He's been when that's kind of been prevalent. Which this weekend we did like I noticed a lot of teams like stepping up their game on the Junkrat. Which, I mean, if the shields just keep getting
Bruh.
weaker, and Junkrats are gonna be able to punish that, like I don't know. That's probably a talk for general Overwatch, but I definitely think we might see a rise of Junkrat with all these shields just getting nerfed because Junkrat always kind of was like, oh, he can break shields pretty good, but now with shields being so weak, man, Junkrat might really be able to just make them disappear.
He has some really strong maps,
Yes, it's
but also
based on
some
map
really strong
dependent.
DPS counters. Anubis is like if you pick Pharah, it's a lot harder to play Junk. But like he's still viable, and so I think he's a really interesting hero. I thought he was gonna be meta about 2 weeks ago, but Genji just kept going and going. So I'm excited. I love Junkrat play. I
Same.
really do.
That
I
was
think
my
it's fun.
first
I
main.
think it's really fun to watch. But also I like Doomfist play. It's like these one shots are like these like kind of like cheesy ones where you're just like I got you. But it's yeah, I want to see more junk. But I think we're done with Atlanta. Just get good. I think we have more to talk about. You want to intro them to the next one?
Oh, for sure. So we also got the Valiant Mayhem, which we pointed out last week as potentially being a pretty good game. We went all the way to map 5 in like a real nail biter. And yeah, this game, it was pretty crazy. I had to catch this one on VOD, so I did not get the hype of watching it live. I don't even know why that makes it a difference, but I feel so much more excited watching games when they're live. But yeah, we've seen this game go to map 5. It was pretty crazy. Uh, Los Angeles Valiant, their DPS players are just. I think we really underestimated them this preseason, if we're being honest, because
I said that's their strongest thing as soon as they picked up KSP.
I
I was
mean,
like, this
yeah,
is gonna be good.
but we also said they were like a bottom 5 team, or at least
Yeah,
some of us did.
we did.
And they're
Well, that's when I thought that gig was. I didn't think Dreamer was gonna be good, and Dreamer's actually really good.
yeah, that's true.
And their support line was basically a mystery. And Lastro and Rain are both really good. And McGravy's pretty
Yeah,
good too. I mean,
McGravy's
especially this last season, like the last whatever game was insane.
yeah
He killed it.
he's
Yeah, keep going.
definitely, he might be one of the best Western off tanks. Like, I can't really think of anybody to like Western off tanks. Who's better than McGravy for real? Like, he is right there, and
Uh,
he was like,
I think he's.
what's that?
I think he's on par with. I don't think. I think Space is better still. And Note has his games, but I think McGravy's are really.
Okay,
You can't go wrong with him.
McGravy definitely is above Note right now. Note's kind of washed. Let's be honest. Like,
Note's probably the best player on the field in my eyes.
yeah, that's a
But
big
you can say
accomplishment.
it kind of it can be. Yeah, I think he's
I
Note's
mean,
not
I
not
think McGravy
washed.
was one of
I
the
don't think he's washed,
better
but I
players.
think McGravy's really good for this team.
Yeah, no, I definitely, maybe I'm just a little bit of a fan because I think he's pretty, not only a good team, but like a good player. He's a pretty good, like,
Oh, he's a great person.
yeah, he's just so he's funny. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm trying
yeah.
to say he's pretty funny, and like, I don't
Well,
know. I might be
he's my vote for Dennis Haleka. I can't really say the last name, but like the award for like the Do Good Deeds award for Overwatch League. He's done so much good stuff for charity and stuff. He's an amazing guy. He's one of the things where I can't be mad at. I normally hate Valiant. I can't be mad at Valiant when McGravy's on that team. But his gameplay this game was insane. He actually, I feel like he beat out Gargoyle, which is a huge accomplishment. Gargoyle's actually insane. And overall, I think that the DPS line of Valiant really outshined Yaki, since Yaki couldn't really go to Tracer. He had to be more on like a Mei duty. And so they really only had BQB to worry about, and KSB just destroyed. I don't have to mention their like support line Lastro Rain also did really well. It was just like a really good team effort to reverse sweep the Florida Mayhem. It was a
And
great game.
let's not forget to mention, I think we didn't talk about this last week, but McGravy used to be on the Mayhem. And I don't know if you've heard the interview he did where he talked about the Mayhem and kind of straight trashed the way the team was run. So,
Oh yeah, he said it was terrible.
yeah,
He was mad.
I can't remember who he did that interview with, but he really dogged on the way they ran the Mayhem and the way that they treated him when he was on the Mayhem. So this could have been just a little bit personal for him, which makes it even.
Oh, it's personal every time he plays. He hates them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that's,
he likes Yeah though. Yeah, he knew Yeah didn't have a problem. Yeah is the current GM, and the current GM wanted a mixed roster. And the previous GM, Bear Claws, was behind Ya's back and just said, no, we're going full Korean. And I mean, it's kind of worked out for them, but I feel like they could have had a crazy marketable team with McGravy, and I think they had Apply, and who was another one? Gladiators coach. One of the Gladiators coaches. Yeah, like they had a really good, solid squad, and I think they messed it up a little bit.
yeah, they were probably on their way to being a better team, and they kind of, I don't know, man. That's been a minute. Either way, I think there's beef between McGravy and the Mayhem, and the fact that this game was so tight and took it so far is just pretty badass. But we saved the best part about the review for you, okay? Saved it to last. And we had the Los Angeles Gladiators beating the Boston Uprising for the first time, right? First time.
1-6, baby. 1-6. You gotta love it. Yeah, and it wasn't even like I mean, they had a draw in the game, and that was starting to worry me. But other than that, like it was like we did it. We beat the Boston Uprising. You know how annoying that is that they had that over us for such a long time.
Yeah.
Like it's a Boston Uprising too. They're 20th in the league right now, and they're one of their 2 wins is on us this year. But I think it really shows some gumption from Gladiators, and maybe some luck from Boston to beat us both years. I remember last year, season 2, it was Boston just came out of nowhere and just started playing really well, and I think that was like the really fall. They played really well against us, and then they fell off for like half of that season and started looking terrible, absolutely terrible, and then they looked really bad, really bad, really bad. Played us again, beat us well, they played you and they beat you as well. They beat the Houston Outlaws. I remember that very fondly. In the Map Fives, but then they played us and only beat us in control. And they looked pretty good. They almost beat Paris twice on that little stint, and then they went back to being bad. And now it looks like they're staying bad. Good. Um, I don't want Boston to be good with the way they run their players sometimes. Not that I don't like their players. I think Jerry and Myungbong are two of the best players coming out of Boston in a while. I think Jerry's really marketable. Not to mention Color X Fusion, I think are really good for the league. Um, I'm hoping for better spots next year for some of these players, and I'm hoping for a new Boston to come out next year. But this is not the year for them. Um, I'm just happy that we won. It's just what we needed.
Yeah, it's definitely good for for Gladiators fans. You don't want like to have an arch nemesis team that you haven't beat. It's not good. But if it's Boston, it's the worst. That's
It was the weirdest thing. Everyone's like,
really
"You guys
is.
seriously haven't beat Boston?" We're like,
Because
"Yeah, I don't know what's going on."
last year Gladiators were really good and Boston was really bad. This year Gladiators are pretty good and Boston's really bad. Like I don't know, dude. There
Yeah,
might have been some kind of
yeah.
curse. The voodoo ran out or
It was
something.
well. If you look on DPay's Twitter, they did. They all the season one players put salt over their shoulders to get rid of the curse, and they won the game.
Well, I guess that's who
Yeah,
did it.
maybe it was some voodoo.
So what you're telling
Yeah, it
me
was
is
probably
that
voodoo.
the evil spirit that cursed the Glads has high cholesterol?
No,
That's
I
what the
mean, I
salt's
guess
for,
if you want
right?
to put it that
That's
way,
how
I
you
think
kill
it's
the
just like a.
demon?
That's how you get rid of curses, and whenever you put salt over your shoulder. It's like a Old Testament thing. It's what I mean. I don't know,
Okay,
dude.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
but
took it
I don't know
even
I don't know
lower.
the deal.
Uh, we can go ahead and get to talking about next week. So next week is the last week of regular season, and a lot of the standings are pretty in the books. Like, um, I th- okay, so I thought that I read that Philly locked first place, but that doesn't really
They did,
make sense because Shock can win 2 games, and then if
but they've already lost. It's win loss and then it's win percent. If that makes any sense. So
well, but if
basically, since Philly's only lost two and Chalk has now lost 3 games, they can no longer get first place,
but if
and Philly will be locked in first
the
place.
Shock win 2 more games, they'll be 25-3.
Yes.
So
Uh huh.
and then they'll have a plus
So
41 map differential if they 3-0 both.
yep.
And Philly's got a
But the
plus
problem
40.
is not any of that. It's the 3 losses versus the two
Oh, it's
losses.
the percentage. Okay. Either way,
It's because
kinda
it's
confusing
because
for real.
Chalk has 3 losses in the regular season is the reason why they're not going to be first place,
like
even though they've had a better record overall.
it's almost like it would have made a lot of sense for them all to play the same amount of games, which is exactly what would have happened if we didn't have a global pandemic wreck the season. But we don't want to dwell on that right now because we still have.
Well, that was because of the tournaments, not the win. The wins are weird because of the tournament.
Yeah, but that's
Which
the reason for that is they had to restructure the season. So, I like preseason before they knew they were going to have to cancel games. Every team was supposed to play like the same number of games, so it's just kind of like almost impossible logistically to just make all these teams play the exact same number of games. So, I mean,
I mean, everyone's playing 28 regular season games. That's happening. So everyone's played 28. It's just the extra wins
Oh, okay.
is
Yeah.
what's really messing
That's
it.
already like.
So everyone else is
factor.
playing like the regular. That's why Gladiators have 3 games this week. But yeah, everyone's playing the same amount of games for the regular season, but the tournament's added wins, and that's why you're like, well, Shock has more wins overall. But the problem is that they've lost more than Philly in the regular season.
Yeah, okay, I'm following now.
It's kind of weird. It kind of makes. I don't know why though the wins are so important right now. Actually, I do. We can talk about it in a second. But overall, it wasn't that big of a deal. The extra wins.
Yeah, and what we're gonna see right now is gonna pretty much be a race for 5th place in the NA division. and like we got a couple teams that could take fifth, and your Gladiators is one of them, but they have to win 3 games to guarantee a top 5. And their 3 games this week are not easy games. So Gladiators would have to, in 3 days, back to back to back, would have to beat the Florida Mayhem, then the Atlanta Reign, and then their rivals, the LA Valiant. So yeah, Gladiators can totally take a top 5 spot if they play their asses off this weekend. Like they no room for error there. And then Valiant, they need 1 win, and then they have the Gladiators and Reign lose 1 game. And then Atlanta needs 2 wins and the Valiant to lose 2. And yeah, Atlanta can't. Okay, yeah, and the Gladiators lose 1. So
yeah, the Reign, what they need is they need to go 2-0 and have the Valiant lose to either Vancouver or Gladiators, or go 1-1 and have Valiant lose to Glads and Vancouver and Glads. No, I did this wrong. Have Valiant lose to Glads and we need Valiant to lose to Glads and Vancouver and Glads. That makes any sense.
Yeah, well, Atlanta.
So Reign,
if Atlanta wins 2 games, then Gladiators.
Yeah, Glads will lose 1.
But Atlanta's 2 games are the Gladiators and the Shock. So that's not easy for them either. And then we get the Valiant. The Valiant get the Titans and the Gladiators. So Valiant arguably might have the easiest of these bubble team schedules. We're going to call them bubble teams because that's what they call them in the March Madness for basketball. But in these bubble teams, you're going to see in like Valiant definitely looks like they have the edge here, but really anything can happen because this LA versus LA game, that's a rivalry. Like they've been building that to be like they put 2 teams in the same city. How do you expect them not to be like arch enemies? Like it's just how it is. And they literally have been building that. They're in the city that the league originated in. So that's just like they've been building this matchup like rivalry since the league started. It's pretty much like one of the premier rivalries. And it's the last game of the regular season. So like that's how much it is of how much like competition there is between these 2 teams. So that's going to be pretty nuts. Okay. Give me a percentage chance you think the Gladiators have of winning all 3 of these games right out. Anura, you there? Oh, seems like our buddy has frozen. Oh no, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Now I can. It looks like you.
Okay, well the stream's weird right now. There's a network stream. But if you can hear me, that's fine because we have Audacity and they can listen later. I do want to say that Gladiators, I'm giving a 40. That's like a crazy high. It's probably way lower than that.
40% chance?
Yeah, I'm getting 40. I think that if Glads can beat Mayhem, they can beat the other 2 teams. And Valiant's the hardest one, obviously. But I'm giving them a 40 because why not? I think Glads really need to pull it out, and I think they can. I think they've looked the best they ever had in this moment, this whole season. They've really looked pretty good. Valiant had a really good game against Mayhem. They always play Mayhem really, really hard. Meanwhile, they cheesed us last time they played us, and I don't know if they can do that again. I don't know the Valiant Glads matchup. I don't think Reign's going to stand that much of a chance against Gladiators. The biggest one is Mayhem and Valiant. But if you can get through Mayhem, I think you can get through Valiant. That's where I'm at with that area, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but you definitely gave them.
But we have a
way higher.
We have a chance.
Than I thought.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's just me being a fan as well. But we have a chance to where the last game. This is easily game of the week either way. I don't think there's that many good games this week. But we have probably game of the week's gonna be Glads versus Valiant because we have a chance of Glads winning their games against Mayhem and Rain, and Valiant's probably going to beat Vancouver.
You think that's game of the week? Are you really gonna snub Washington Justice versus San Francisco Shock like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna. I know it's Decay's return, but I might have to snub them. But like this is crazy. So like last year, Gladiators brought Valiant out of play-ins in the last game by beating them, and it was a really good game. And so now there's this year where Glads can win two and play Valiant. Valiant's have a chance to bring them out, just going straight into playoffs. So it's like a really fun like extra thing to go with it. But I mean, Destiny's in Gladiator's hands right now, and I gotta believe in Deepay right now. Like he's done fifth place before. He can do it again. Like we're the fifth place team. You can't take that position away from us. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's honestly super hyped to see where it's gonna go. But yeah, I actually have faith Clads can win all three. If they look good against Mayhem, then I think they can do it. If they look bad against Mayhem, it's over from there. So it's not that big of a deal. But I think the biggest hump is Mayhem, and after that, it should be pretty good.
It's good to have confidence in your favorite team because, I don't know. I would definitely think Glads might have like a 5 or 10% chance of winning out all three, just because back to back to back, they don't make parlay bets pay out so well if they weren't crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's insane. I'm putting 40% because if they beat Mayhem, I think they've got.
I think that 40%
that makes any sense.
is 5% reality, 35% your heart. Like
I'm giving it 40%, and that's a strong bet.
39% your heart.
No, I think Glads can easily I think Glads have looked good against Mayhem previously, and I know scrims and like last meta was not really good because Mayhem looked really good in that meta, but Glads have looked really good against Mayhem previously according to their scrim bucks, but it's really I think Valiant's the biggest hump after Mayhem, so I don't think Rain's gonna be that big of a deal.
And then let's talk about some of these bubble teams in the Asian region. So when we got the Asian region, we got Shanghai Dragons sitting firmly on top. Ain't nobody able to touch them. They're 27-2. With the second team being the Guangzhou Charge, 18-7, very much like a similar record to Paris. And then we've got the New York Excelsior, 15-8. Those are like top three in the Asian division. And then on the bubble, we got an 11-11 Seoul Dynasty and 11-11 Hangzhou Spark. Two teams that are both rated even right now. And let me make sure. We got the Spark are playing the Seoul Dynasty. And then Seoul also plays London. So what we're going to see here is a chance for Seoul to finish positive and for the Spark to finish positive. This game that's going to be 4 a.m. Eastern time on Saturday morning will be pretty much deciding whether the Spark or the Seoul is going to get a seed above the other. If Seoul loses, the best they can do is finishing their season even. And if Spark lose, they have a losing season because they'll be 11-12. That game, like, I don't know, dude. It's crazy. Both those teams, you can't really speculate or bet what they're going to do right now because they're both teams that just do weird stuff. So, I don't know. What do you think? You think Seoul or Spark is going to come out ahead at the end of the regular season? Like, I kind of feel like saying Seoul, but I also know that if I say that, it's just because of the profit factor.
Yeah, I mean profit factor is running wild right now. You gotta put it in account. I think Seoul's got this. I think Spark looked good for a second. I was really excited. They looked actually really good, and they just kind of fell off, and it was really sad to see. And I don't know where they are. I think last time they played, it was a 2-3 in Spark's favor, but I think Seoul looks a lot better in this meta than did the last one. We don't know where Spark is in this meta. But I do have Soul winning this just because they've looked really good and they beat NYXL in this meta. Like that's no joke. You can't put that into like it's so much better than just a really close game against Soul. If that makes any sense. So I definitely have Soul beating this and then beating London and ended up going positive, which is I didn't think they were going to go positive looking through their last few losing streaks, but yeah, they're bringing it back, and I think it's the perfect time to do so.
Yeah, Seoul closing their season 5-0 would kind of be a warning call to any of the teams that are coming across in the tournament because, I mean, they're looking pretty tight. I would like to see Seoul versus Dragons this week just to know, like, are they actually really good? Because watching them play London, they've literally 3-0'd London twice in one weekend already. So in 2 weekends, they're playing London 3 times. Like, come on now. You can call that. I think they're gonna win that. But then the Spark game, that just is intriguing to me because Spark was a pretty good team last year. Didn't really lose very many people except Crystal, who hadn't been that good. So like they picked up Architect. Like the Spark on paper should be pretty darn good right now. And if we come into like more Winston play, we know Gouchway is kind of crazy on Winston. So I think that would definitely benefit them. I think Winston meta benefits the Spark. Any other meta benefits Soul. Like,
Okay, whoa. Are you saying that Gesture's not good at Winston? Is that what
I
you're
think
saying?
Jester is good at Winston, but I don't think
I,
he's better than
sure,
Gouchway.
he doesn't have like primal blades, but like he can easily contest with Gouchway. It's like not even a. I don't think that's even a
I don't know.
question.
I don't think Jester's.
It's very even in that fight.
I think that Souls looked better when Jester was benched this year. You know, like they won these past 3 games.
I mean,
they
unless
won,
you looked recently.
they mostly played Marvel and 2U. They played Jester.
The
like,
gesture to you dive was fantastic. I don't if you didn't see it, it was really good.
That was only like a couple maps though, wasn't it? I don't
And
know.
I think Marvel only came in. If I remember, Marvel only came in for like 1 map or 2 maps. Like it was mostly gesture. I don't remember fully, but I remember being really impressed with 2U and gesture. Um,
Peak.
Either way, I still think Marvel can compete with Gouchway as well. I think Marvel's a fantastic main tank. I hate what they did to him this season, making him an off tank. But yeah, I think either way, it's kind of even.
Yeah, I guess so.
Especially, yeah, it's just one of those things where I think that Spark have looked decent, but the recent wins have been mostly like the tournament wins were kind of BS because they played and they had a really good game against Seoul. And they did win that one out fair and square. But then they played Chengdu to get in the finals. Like it's not that big of a deal. Meanwhile, I mean, you can't deny a really good NYXL 3-0. It's just one of those things where I don't see it as I see it as a huge improvement from what I've been seeing of Seoul, if that makes any sense.
Oh, for sure.
Seoul has been getting dominated, and now they're finally looking better. You've gotta give the high points of Seoul better than the highest points of Spark, if that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, I
Um,
understand what you're saying.
because the highs of Seoul are really high, and the highs of Spark is about pretty close to where they've been at certain points. So yeah, that's why I think Seoul's gonna go 2-0. But who knows?
That's totally possible. I definitely think that Soul going 2-0 is infinitely more possible than Gladiators going 3-0. So,
Yeah, so it's like 65 versus 40.
yeah, 40 times infinitely.
Yeah, about
Oh,
infinite,
man.
Elliot. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah. Hey, it went when Glads do it. Oh, I'm gonna give you shit.
Oh, I hope so, dude. I really do. But I think we pretty much got most of all of next week pretty much covered, so we can go ahead and close out this show. And if you want to leave a review for the show, you can head over to your favorite podcatcher and leave a review. Always looking at ways to improve and just make a better podcast. Nora, you want to tell everybody about Overwatch Recall?
Yeah, you can find additional Overwatch content on our daily website via Overwatch Recall. Every Sunday, we release the weekly recall that lists the episodes released within the last week. I hate that sentence. For more info, follow Overwatch at Overwatch Recall. And if you'd like to show some additional support to our network of Overwatch shows, consider pledging via Patreon. Tiers just start at just $1 a month. More information can be found at www.patreon.com/OWL League, over OWL Network. You too can join the likes of our master and above patrons, Daniel, Owl, Kasha, Agent Life, and 044, in helping our network grow. And Booger, how can they contact the show?
And if you want to contact the show, you can send an email to contact@owlnshow.com. We got a new website to check out, and that's owrecall.com. And you can find us on Twitter at OWLNshow. You can find all past episodes of the show on youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. And our Discord is discord.me/OWLNshow. And we do stream all of these shows live on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLN show, and we are Twitch affiliates, so by subscribing to the channel you really help support the show, and you get to earn the network emoticon. So our podcast network streams regularly, and we got this show, Overwatch League Network, airing Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We got Overwatch League by the Numbers, which airs Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and Heroes Never Die, the variety Overwatch show, which airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And if anybody wants to contact you directly, Anura, what's the digits?
I'm not giving them my phone number, but I'll give them my Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is okay. It's still the same as last time. It's at Anura FG. ANURA FG. FG stands for Fall Guys. If you're not playing, doing. Great game. I'm going pro. I'll see you soon.
Only want to play.
And then Booger, how can they contact you? You can't be Tracer. Not yet.
You can find me on Twitter at BoogerBrains with 2 Z's. And that wraps up our show tonight. We hope everyone has a great night, great week. We hope you get buckets of SR in every comp game you queue this week. And yeah, just have a good week.